Hello, dear friends. This is Sofia Dorinskaya, President of the International Bureau for Human Rights in Mental Health and head of the Sofia Dorinskaya Medical Information Center. Since it's autumn now, this topic has become very relevant. I can see from the views on our video how to deal with the flu, how to safely deal with the flu, where I talk about a short vitamin C regimen. I decided to continue this topic in this video because there are so many questions. So first of all, about the children's vitamin C regimen. It is calculated individually for each child. And in order for us to calculate it, you need to send your child's age, weight, and height. You need to pay a very small amount for this. And within 3 business days, you will receive the dosage calculation. If you need it urgently, it costs a little bit more. And within 24 hours, we will provide you with a treatment plan specifically tailored to your child. Next, I will now tell you about some very simple remedies that you should use if you catch a cold yourself, or if your child catches a cold. Why? Because I urge you to limit your use of pharmaceutical products. It's always better to handle the situation with home remedies, with some reasonable, gentle methods, rather than taking various medications that have side effects and can lead to illness or very unpleasant consequences. So, let's look at some very simple remedies to help you get back on track if you catch a cold. So, the routine with vitamin C is clear. I'll leave the link below this video. Next, you need to soak your feet in hot water with mustard added. You just put your feet in, cover the basin with water, and your legs with a blanket, and sit like that. If you don't have a fever, warming your feet is a great way to deal with a cold. Next, if you or your children come home and you see that it's cold outside and they've gotten their feet wet. In St. Petersburg, this problem happens very often. You can rub your feet with vodka. For a child, rub their feet with vodka. For an adult, you can rub the whole body, and at the same time, be sure to give them a hot drink, like tea with honey or tea with raspberries. By the way, raspberries contain natural aspirin, and it works very well to lower a fever. Tea with honey. When you stir the honey directly into the tea, well, you can eat it separately, but according to research, it's better to dissolve the honey right in the tea. For some reason, it works better that way. It's the same with raspberries. You shouldn't eat them alone, but dissolve them in tea. They really warm you up, and a person starts to sweat. The capillaries expand, and that's how the body gets warmed up. If you are truly very cold, an adult can drink a small amount of alcohol, but there's a problem with alcohol. Alcohol expands the capillaries, and the warmth from inside first comes to the surface of the body, and then the person gets really cold. By the way, that's exactly why people freeze outside when they're drunk. They feel hot, they take off their clothes, the warmth leaves their body, and then they freeze for good if they don't make it home. That's why I don't recommend drinking alcohol if you're cold, but hot tea with honey and raspberries, a hot foot bath with mustard, and rubbing your feet with vodka are really good things. Next, never forget that there are mustard plasters, but mustard plasters are usually painful and unpleasant. If you or your children don't have a fever, you can do what's called a mustard wrap. What is that? You take mustard and brew it in boiling milk, following all the rules, just like you would brew powder in hot milk. That is, you gradually pour it in, stirring so there are no lumps. I'm not a cook. I won't go into detail about this. But what should you do? You should do it. Brew mustard in hot milk until it's as thick as sour cream, and spread this mustard onto a cloth, leaving the center area clear because we don't apply it to the spine. Next, You place gauze on top and wrap the person from the back, right over the lung area. You simply wrap this cloth around them on top. To prevent it from getting wet, you can wrap it with plastic or put on a sweater or wrap a shawl around. And the mustard wrap doesn't burn, but it warms the body very well. Use the mustard wrap. You can use it for an adult or for a child. Only if there is no fever. Use this. The next thing you can use for a cough, there are wonderful Soviet tablets. They are called cough tablets. They used to cost, I think, 2 kopecks. Now they cost about 3 rubles. That's what they're called. It's a paper package of 10 tablets. They're called cough tablets. They consist of thermopsis herb and baking soda. Thermopsis herb has expectorant properties, and baking soda thins the phlegm. And these cheap tablets are really so effective. They truly have expectorant properties, and they are absolutely safe. Absolutely safe. Next, if you are sick, you definitely need to drink plenty of fluids. Cranberry tea, tea with lemon, honey with milk, and so on. So you stay hydrated by drinking a lot. When a person sweats, they lose fluids, so it's important to replenish them. Remember, you shouldn't lower a person's temperature until it reaches 38 degrees Celsius. Up to 38 degrees, the body is actively fighting the infection, and all processes become more active. Next, if the temperature is already above 38, no matter how much medicine is being undermined now, even if it's unpopular and so on, I urge you to take antipyretic pills only as recommended by your doctor for one simple reason. All antipyretic pills have a harmful effect on your blood count, blood formation, and red bone marrow. Guys, I understand that they're sold over the counter. I understand that they're inexpensive. I understand that it's very tempting to go buy, take them, and supposedly nothing happens. But always consult your doctor. And always, if your temperature has dropped to the necessary level, so to speak, has gone down, always start using gentle methods to improve your condition again. Fever-reducing pills are serious medication, especially when you give them to children. And here, again, you need to stay alert. Of course, good nutrition is important. If a person eats poorly, for an adult, that's a huge problem. We receive a huge number of letters. I know how people eat in the regions of Russia. Nevertheless, watch what you spend your money on. Don't spend it on chips. Don't spend it on any bars or Snickers. Don't spend it. Try to buy butter and meat. Maybe you can buy it from farmers, generally at a reasonable price. That is, quality nutrition is the key to your health. If you're hungry, if a person is constantly hungry, they will get sick. So please watch your diet. Balancing work and rest is important. When you have a day off, I urge you not to sit in front of the television, because unfortunately, spending your time this way does not help your body rest. In general, watch less television. If you have a day off after you eat, go for a walk. Go outside, look at the things around you, walk until you feel tired, and when you come back, lie down and rest. So use your rare days off wisely. And don't just lie on the couch. If you really can't do anything else, then read books. When you lie in front of the television and have a constant stream of information coming at you, your body gets even more tired. And even if you fall asleep in front of the television, it's more like a hypnotic trance than real rest, isn't it? Next, definitely, during the epidemic, please wear masks. Do not attend any public celebrations or events. If your job involves working with people, please wear a mask. Again, let me repeat. Always read the instructions for the pills that are prescribed to you, and always weigh the severity of your condition and the critical nature of the situation you or your child are in against the possible consequences of using a particular substance. I'll tell you, for example, that the medication Coldrex, which is sold over the counter and advertised as a truly wonderful substance that lowers fever and everything else, it contains a morphine-like substance called dextromethorphan. A morphine-like substance, so they've added a little bit of it there, so to speak, an analog of a narcotic, although everywhere it's considered that it doesn't have any of the characteristics of these opioid substances. But still, guys, I know people who, one way or another, got hooked on these substances. There are people who got hooked on antipyretic substances. There are people who got hooked on painkillers. And there are people who got hooked on Coldrex. And they just can't do without it. And they experience a condition similar to the flu. But upon closer inspection, it turns out to be a mild drug withdrawal. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you can't figure out the instructions for medications, it happens. Not everyone is a pharmacologist or a doctor. You can ask us. We will always explain to you what a particular substance is made of, in simple terms. We will always, so to speak, explain to you in detail and in simple words what side effects this substance may have. That's why you should always look for the principle of helping a sick person. You always start with the simplest and most harmless option. You don't need to hit a person over the head with a sledgehammer right away. Sorry for being blunt. Always look for something reasonable, something gentle, something safe, like a drink or like a mustard compress or cough tablets. Burnt sugar is a wonderful remedy for cough. Wonderful. And those who might now try to say that I'm promoting folk medicine here. I can tell you one thing. In the Soviet Union, whenever doctors came to the house, no one ever rushed. For example, when a child was sick and it was clear that, yes, there was a fever, those were the prescriptions of the local pediatricians. That burnt sugar, plenty of drinks, and, warm up their feet. Those were the recommendations of the local doctors. That was back when medicine wasn't hooked on drugs. Pharmaceutici, these huge profits of pharmaceutical companies, when now they just pay doctors, whom the poor things have already been driven under the bench there, and they're forced to somehow survive. So common sense hasn't gone anywhere, and I urge you, dear viewers, always keep your head on your shoulders, and always, before you put something in your mouth, make sure that it's really what you should do. And for that, you need to know what these substances are and how they affect a person. If you can't figure it out yourself, we are your friends, and we will help you with this. This was Sofia Durinskaya with you. All the best. Goodbye.